Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 27th of June. I'm going to give you the key strands to look out for this week. Please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can watch in terms of your ascendant or your sun or both. Now this week, of course, does see the new moon in the sign of Cancer. Now, depending on where you are in the world, it's on the 28th or 29th. In terms of Universal Central Time, it's the 29th. And this squares with the buoyant energy of Jupiter. Now, both are in cardinal signs. Cancer, the second of the cardinal quadrants, is very much about protection, nurture, the environment, our home, our family, our feelings. So that upbeat energy, that levitating energy of Jupiter is asking us to find ways, enterprising ways, because I think Jupiter is pushing for that, to add that sense of security at the root of our existences. Now Neptune, the planet of dreams, does begin a retrograde on Tuesday, which will last through to the 4th of December. Neptune's great if we want to embrace a more spiritual dimension, whether it's a more traditional spirituality or something that's more personal and much more to do with our own particular way of experiencing faith. But the retrograde could see us thinking very deeply about these issues over this period of time. But later this week, Neptune gets into a rather destructive right angle with Mercury. Mercury in the sign of Gemini, of course, is in its home sign, and it's very much about clarity and quick wits. So an exchange towards the end of this week may require a little more care, particularly if you're talking about a contract, but some gossip could be doing the rounds, so vital to try to keep things real. But there are two glorious influences this week. Mars forges a very stable angle to Saturn, and also there's a beautiful link between Jupiter and Venus. Now that can actually be very lucky, and if you're wanting to look to add to your family, I understand that this particular aspect can be very helpful, but it's also one where we can socialise and be a bit more free-spirited and live in the moment. Now the more breaking and restrictive energies of Saturn are counterbalanced by the more progressive energies of Mars, which is very much about pushing forwards. So Saturn can act as a bit of an anchor for the more rampant and more impulsive energies of Mars, so that's a very nice balancing influence too. In fact, towards the end of this week, despite the fact that Mercury gets blighted by Neptune, it actually also itself forges a stable link to Saturn. So I think as the week goes on, scrutinising the details around anything is going to be important. And as I say, particularly if you're discussing a contract, a job offer, or you're sending some communication that's important, make sure that you treble check everything before you do press that send button. Now, if you'd like to get a more detailed understanding of the new moon, please see beneath this video and you can watch my new moon special video. But if you are new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. I'm nearly there at the 100,000 subs mark, and if you've already subscribed, I'm very grateful. And if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and embrace the wonder of more serious astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life, as well as a 12-month personal forecast. These are completely individual to you, and there's 30% off if you see the link beneath this video with my special offer. So Libra, your week commencing the 27th of June forecast is really promising. So why should that be? Well, your ruling planet is Venus, and Venus is in the part of your situation at the moment which is to do with expansion, travel, experiencing cultural influences, the arts, perhaps even a connection to the overseas through travel, through somebody in a relating sense. But that's forging a link with Jupiter in your sector of relating. Now these two planets are known as the lesser and greater benefics, and the link between them really can bring some serendipity to your situation. It could be you're going to connect to somebody new in a really significant way, or an existing relationship can give you a real uplift and a sense of warmth and affection. Now, the new moon is also suggesting that the sky is the limit when it comes to your career and your ambitions and hopes over the next 4 weeks. It's also in a square with Jupiter, but I actually think that's a really good thing. It's going to give you a bit more confidence to interact with people in a very natural way. Now, Neptune does go into a retrograde, and it's going to be so through to the early part of December. When it comes to the practicalities in your life, it is going to be important not to overdo things, to make sure that you get plenty of rest, that you're aware that the 6th house, which Neptune influences, and of course Neptune can be to do with things we can't see, very important to ward off infections, and obviously COVID, which I've had, is to make sure that all those sanitation processes that we were adhering to very strictly at the height of the outbreak, those are things that I think are important for you to keep going with during that period of time. But also just become a little bit more conscious of your diet and where you are very supportive to others. We have to give to others what we have available. We can't pour from an empty bottle. So just be aware of looking after your energy. Now later this week, Mercury does get into a tangle with Neptune, and an important piece of information, it could be to do with some ticketing, a contract, will require very close scrutiny. Fortunately, Saturn is going to be on hand to cut through the froth and to get to what's really important. And Saturn also forges a very constructive link to Mars this week. Again, that can be very important for relationships. So if you're wanting something better to evolve around all sorts of interactions with others, but whether it's a romantic situation or friendship or with a colleague, there is real potential for you to show your leadership skills, but also to achieve much greater recognition for your talents over the next month.